go. Pardon? Yeah, this is on. Looks like the rain held a handful of people away. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Quick poll. How many of you, this is the first time coming to a DataViz event? That's awesome. Thank you. About half of you. That's fantastic. So the DFW DataViz group, we meet monthly. We just crossed over 1,500 members, so we got a pretty robust group. It's fantastic. And we do basic topics across the entire spectrum of what data visualization is. So we'll do stuff like tonight, which is fun, great topics in data visualization. We'll have some on tools like Tableau or Microsoft Power BI. I've been a couple of recent ones. We'll also do better presentation design, better chart design, and even some stuff like marketing infographics, and if you're familiar with it, live sketchnoting or scribing, where people take visual notes. We've done a couple events on those as well. So we sort of do a whole variety of DataViz topics, and so if you join the group, you'll get notices whenever we schedule new ones. And you just come out when you can. Like you said, we got about 30 or 40 people here, and we're only, out of 1,500 people get a pick that works on your schedule and pick a topic that really intrigues you. As a quick intro, my name is Randy Crum, if you haven't met me before. I'm here in the Dallas area. I run a company called InfoNoot, and my company does data visualization design for clients. About half of what we design is online marketing infographics that you see online and social media. But the other half is under NDA, where we use confidential corporate data and do data visual design internal to companies that are trying to be smarter about using all the data that they have, whether it's employee training or presentations, sales presentations, board meetings, that kind of stuff. And so we do all kinds of that design as well. I run the website coolinfographics.com. We're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of that website, which is fantastic. Thank you very much. And my book, conveniently, is also named Cool Infographics. Nice coincidence there. I teach a class at SMU. There's one in the middle going right now on data visualization and dashboard design. It's a 6-week class. So the fall one's about halfway through now, and then we'll plan one late spring, and there'll be more information on the group about that. If you haven't seen my book, you can download the first chapter for free on the website. So coolinfographics.com/book. You can download the first chapter as a PDF. We do have a LinkedIn discussion group. There are about, I think, 1,800 members on the LinkedIn group, and the idea of the group is to discuss the craft of visualizing data. We try to cut out people, because a handful of people will show up and just say, hey, here's a link to my infographic. We really want the group to be more about how would you visualize this data, how would you recommend publishing this infographic, can you give me some feedback on this design? Really is trying to be conversation about the craft of designing data visualization infographics. So you're all welcome to join the group as well. I want to thank some of our sponsors, Majestic and Dixon. Thank you very much. Majestic's a sponsor for our group tonight. I do want to thank here at the Dallas Entrepreneur Center for letting us use this space, and I'll invite Jill up here to say a few words just about what the Dallas Entrepreneur Center is.
Thank you. Welcome to the Dallas Entrepreneur Center. How many of you have been here before? Okay, almost half. So the Dallas Entrepreneur Center started 3 years ago. We are a nonprofit, and we exist to help entrepreneurs start, build, and grow their businesses. We do that through a few different avenues. One are events like this, to kind of pull people together of like-mindedness. We do that through co-working and space, so people obviously need space to start their business out of. We do that through education series and also mentorship. And so if you know of anybody, or you are somebody who is thinking about starting or building or growing a business, send them our way. We're happy to help. That's why we exist. And so have a great event tonight. I want to thank Randy for kind of what brought this event here was exchange of services. And so he was able to provide some really cool infographics for us around data that we had. And in exchange, we're hosting this event. So, creatively problem solve around things, and we're really happy with the work that he did. So, welcome to the deck. If you need anything, I'll be around.
Thank you, Jill. And I'm sure if anybody wanted to take a look around, they'd be welcome to. And you can always ask Jill to show you if there's something you particularly want to see. I also want to ask, they're not here anymore, but they dropped off all of our beer over on the side, Pabst Brewing. brought us beer tonight, as well as keychains and koozies. So you guys are welcome to grab all those that you want. I don't know what we're going to do with anything that's left over. So, feel free. We do always look for sponsors. So like I said, Majestic is actually a sponsor of this event. We thank them very much for that. I have a sheet of basic give-backs and what kind of benefits you get if you become a sponsor of an individual event or of the group. We've been focusing primarily on local speakers, or like this one, happenstance, where we catch Dixon in town, we get him to speak while he's here, which is fantastic. But there are a whole bunch of authors, instructors, designers in the country that would love to come speak. They would come to speak essentially for free. We just need, some funds to get them here. And that's what we would use sponsorship money for. If your company wants a sheet, just want to see what kind of things that they would get in return, see me afterwards. I do want to take a break. I usually like to give everybody a chance. If anybody is currently hiring positions and wants to stand up and announce what you're looking for and what you're hiring for, you're welcome to stand up now and share it with the group. Nobody hiring. Anybody looking to be hired that want to stand up and talk about what you're looking for? Silence, crickets. Okay, everybody's gainfully employed. That's fantastic.
I'll take the opportunity.
Go ahead.
Just a show of hands, is anyone in here associated with needing to store kind of low-touch data, records management, and you need an inexpensive way to do it, to archive things for a long time? This is a data group. Anybody in here looking for Tableau or Click skills? Guess not. Thanks, Randy.
No problem. Thanks, Paul. Okay. There are a handful of past events on YouTube. I'm really experimenting with some new camera equipment tonight as well. So at some point, we'll put this up on YouTube. I'm about 4 months behind, I think, in putting some of these videos up. But you can see some of our past events, like I said, scribing or good chart design and that sort of stuff. Some of those are up on YouTube. A couple upcoming events. Number one, our next event is going to be Wednesday, January 18th. I haven't posted it yet because I don't have the full description of the event, but Stephen Anderson is a local designer here in the Dallas area and has done a whole bunch of things with a deck of cards about data visualization and workshops about data visualization, and he's going to run an interactive workshop for us in January. So that's going to be on the 18th, if you just want to pencil that in on your calendar. This week, and the reason Mel and Dixon and a bunch of people are in town, is the Digital Summit here in Dallas. It's Tuesday and Wednesday this week. So if you haven't seen it up until now, it's kind of last minute. But we do have from them a discount code that if you want to go, if you use DFWViz 50, you'll get $50 off the registration price. And we thank them as well. Anybody have anything coming up in, say, December in the next 30 to 60 days that you want to share with the group? Any events in town other than the Digital Summit?
There's actually one right now occurring in Plano.
What's up in Plano?
It's the Elasticsearch and Solar.
Stand up and speak loud.
It's not DataViz for sure, but it's on Elasticsearch and Solar, Apache Solar. So it's happening right now in Plano, but I think Solar is coming up sometime in another 1 week or so.
Okay. Any others? Any other events? SEM done? Or they got anything coming up?
I'm Scott Van, president of the DFW Search Engine Marketing Association, and on January the 11th, we have Jenny Hallis coming in, and we're doing a deep dive on Google Analytics. So if you're interested in getting more information about that, she's a great resource to learn from, and the first meeting is free if you've never been, and you get handed a couple of drinks and some food.
Is it in the evening?
And the site is dfwsem.org,
Yes.
right?
Is it in the evening?
Yes.
Yeah, they're typically 7-ish. What time do they normally start?
The meeting starts at 7, we start registration at 6.
At 6, okay. Anybody else? Anything else coming up you want to share with the group? John?
John Ossel, the co-organizers for the DFW SEO Meetup, not to get confused with these guys. We're a smaller group that meets up at Improving up in North Plano. And our next meeting is going to be, I'll be actually presenting, and we'll be talking about I forgot the title of it, but it's something cool. And I believe it's the 10th of January. Check with me afterwards if you're interested in that.
What's the website? Is it on Meetup?
You
Or
can
is
find
it
us on Meetup.
Okay.
DFW.
So DFW SEO on Meetup.
Hey guys, I'm Josh with the deck here.
Every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., we have an event called 1 Million Cups where people come. You'll hear entrepreneurs, they pitch their ideas. Really cool event if you really like this space, this energy. To come, you could be a part of the audience, you could ask them questions, engage with them. It's a lot of fun. I encourage it. Wednesday, 9 a.m.
Every week, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's cool.
Drop dead in the traffic.
And it's usually about an hour?
Yeah, usually
So
about
9 to 10? Okay. Anybody else? Okay, good. I'm always looking for future topics and ideas, and I'm looking for suggestions from you. Like I said, ideally, it keeps our expenses to almost nothing if we can find local speakers to come and talk. I've got about 4 or 5, some fantastic speakers lined up in 2017, but beyond that, we don't have anything lined up yet. So if you have any ideas of who you'd like to recommend as a speaker, please send me a note, either through Meetup or I'll give you a business card. You can have my email address. Or if there's just a topic you specifically want to hear about, let me know that, and I'll know to try and look and see if we can find a speaker on that topic. Okay, there is a drawing for a DataViz book. If I don't have the bucket. Anybody see the bucket out there to drop your business card in out front? Ramesh, would you grab that bucket real quick? What'd you do, Dan?
I thought that's where you put the...
You put it, it's a trash bucket. Yeah, that's. I saw that and I threw that away. So O'Reilly's going to give a free ebook to anybody. You can download it as a free ebook from the O'Reilly site. If you want to drop your name and email or a business card in here, we'll draw one real quick. If anybody wants to participate, is there anything in there now? Yeah, let's just pass it around. Just get the trash out of there. Then anybody want to drop a business card in there real quick?
Just let's do it.
And then Dixon, if you'll head up here. I'll make you draw. Well, let's go around. We'll draw that as soon as it gets all the way around. Tonight, we have flying in from London this afternoon, Dixon Jones, Director of Marketing, is that correct?
Yeah.
At Majestic.com. How many of you are familiar with Majestic already as an SEO site company? Okay, a handful, so you're definitely going to have to explain what Majestic does.
Yep.
Go ahead and yank my HDMI cord.
Look on the HDMI. I'd like to say that Randy only asked us to sponsor after I was speaking here. I'm not expecting anybody to buy Majestic product as a result of this. But I think Randy met Mel at another conference, and we got together, and one way or another, I've travelled a 9-hour flight. It's 3 o'clock in the morning when I wake up, so see where we go.
All right, let's draw one real quick.
Oh, okay. Prizes first.
And if it's Mel,
No. I know what he looks like, so that's okay. It's going to be that one. Rich Osman.
Yes.
You just won.
You pick any of those 12.
Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to start with actually our beautiful assistant Mel to come up and help pass a few of these out. So we're going to pull these out. Now these aren't the real ones. You get to see those later. But I think a data visualization is much better if it's in your hands. Okay. So, we'll get around to talking about what these are and how they are as we go. The important date for us at the start of our story, or actually quite a way into our story, is the 23rd of March 2016. And on that day, what was the rocket?
Atlas 5.
So Atlas 5 took off from Cape Canaveral to the International Space Station. On board was a 3D printer designed to work in zero gravity. And the plan is to print the internet from space. So, this is a story about how a small company in England got to that point. the thing is that we wanted to, I can't see my monitor. We wanted to look big. Majestic is only 25 people. But we were changing our name from a company called Majestic SEO, and we wanted to look big. Did we succeed? What have you done to my computer? Thank you very much. I'll be here all week. Okay. And start it up again. Right. So, right. 2030, we want us to look big. You can tell me at the end whether we have looked big. Okay. It's all right. Just don't touch it anymore. So, Majestic. Most of you don't know what Majestic is or who Majestic are. Majestic is a big specialist search engine. When I say search engine, we're a small company, but we crawl a lot. We're one of the biggest web crawlers on the planet. After Google and Bing, we're in the realms of Baidu, Yandex, the Russian and Chinese search engines. And to give you an idea of how that is visualized, I've got a visualization for it later, so this is text here. There are around about 500 million tweets per day on Twitter, according to them. In the same day, we crawl around about 7 billion URLs every single day. That's around about 60,000 URLs a second that we're crawling. So the question starts by how does a company with less than 20 people get to be that big when it comes to a crawl? So I thought I'd start the story by telling you how we get this data, because that's the data that ultimately is in these 3D visuals that I'm passing around. The way that we collect the data is through distributed crawling. So instead of crawling just from Mountain View like Google do, we have ISPs and people with high bandwidth accounts who have, for over a decade now, been crawling when their bandwidth is doing nothing else. And that's allowed us to crawl up to the 7 billion URLs a day. And these guys are one of the early crowdsourcing projects. We were data crawling from an early time. Just like the SETI program, looking for extraterrestrial life, or the Human Genome Project, we decided to get people of like minds together to try and start cracking a problem of how do we crawl like Google. And they still do it to this day. So what they do is, there we go, got a little light. So these guys are a bunch of guys of differing sizes who are all crawling. So we send a controller message out to all these people, and they have buckets of data that they go and crawl, and the information then comes back, and then we have a couple of indexes that pulls it all together, and we start doing some analysis on it. So we managed to crawl by using this methodology. What was interesting about this is that we wanted to build a search engine like Google, and it turned out you can't, because the problem with this is that all of the data, when you crawl it, is now on everybody's computer around the world, instead of being in one place. So we could crawl at speed. What we couldn't do is retrieve at speed. If you wanted to look up pizza in Dallas, and the guy that was crawling it had gone home for the night and switched his computer off, it wasn't going to work. So we decided, well, okay, we've got half a search engine here, so what can we do with that? So we decided to start looking at the links between websites, because that was the important bit. That was the hardest bit. Not the links out. Obviously, you've got to crawl the links out, but it's the links in that's interesting. And so these are the guys that are doing all the crawling, they still to this day are fighting. This is the number of megabytes they've done today. Okay, it's not today's chart, but anyway. And they literally compete against each other to try and crawl more, and the more they crawl, the better they do. It's all very good. So we use this data to see and analyze links. So if you imagine that we're crawling the whole of the internet, if page A links to page B, links to page C, links to page D, then some of the equity, some of the love, some of the juice, some of the power, some of the meaning from page A on a very small level can go all the way through to page D, page E, and beyond. That's the logic. If I know Randy, and Randy knows Scott, and Scott knows Bill, etc., within 6 degrees of separation, we know everybody on the planet. It's the same idea with web pages. If you've got a page that's about accountancy, it may link to another page about accountancy. If it's a good page about accountancy, it's only going to link to good pages. So the logic is there, and we decided to take this and wrap this up into an idea. Now, this isn't an entirely new idea. It's very similar to Google's algorithm, original algorithm. Actually, very similar to Stanford University's algorithm, which Google uses. Admittedly, Larry Page put it together, so probably not without reason. But this has allowed us to evaluate every single web page on the internet and give a score. And what we can do is say, right, if these pages over here are pages we understand and we know are built by humans, then this page over here is probably, there's a button here this way. Found the button. There's an off button. You don't want to try that. I blamed him as well. Sorry. Always best. I can't see, that's the problem. Okay, so what we've got is 2 sets of data here. So pages link to each other, and the interesting thing here is that we've got these 2 pages here, and they've both got 3 links going into it, each page. But what's interesting is that if I know these pages were built by human beings, then this page is much more trustworthy than this page. So what we did is we took an iterative algorithm that allowed us to give a score, or 2 scores in fact. One was called citation flow, which was based on the quantity of links essentially iterated over time. So it could end up with 1 link, but because of the strength of those links, the number will be high. And then the second one is the same kind of calculation, but starting from a foundation of websites that we know were built by human beings. So we ended up with 2 sets of numbers, one called trust flow and one called citation flow. And then we normalized those into numbers between 0 and 100 because our brains can't really work with numbers like 5, 400 million, 1,000, 7.2567. And we put them all, for any website, onto a chart. So this is a chart, and this is our early version of our link profile charts. And so this is all the web pages that are linking into this website have a trust flow between 0 and 100, and all the pages that link into this website have a citation flow between 0 and 100. So this is a 101 by 101, because 00 is a number, grid, and then the darker it is, means the more websites or web pages that have got that particular value, if you see what I mean. So this is actually quite a long time ago that we came up with this kind of thing. And then when we decided to change our website and change our brand and decide we weren't going to be MajesticSEO.com, we managed to buy Majestic.com, and time to rebrand and trying to step up to the thing. We decided, right, we need to do something now. We need to change. Life doesn't stay still. That chart was never going to get us to the top of anything particularly, I think. And so you've got to destroy to recreate. So we had to destroy our brand and start again. Because Majestic SEO said, we're a tool. We're not a technology, we're a tool. That's what we were called. It suggested we were in one vertical, which was obviously the SEO vertical. It suggested we were a small company, unambitious, takers, not givers. By changing to Majestic, we were able to reposition our business to say, Majestic, that's IBM, that is. Okay, we're only 25 people, but anyway, we're IBM. It's unrestricted in what we do with that. It's an ambitious word, it's an ambitious idea, and it suggests that we're knowledge leaders. That's why I'm here. It's because we're trying to be knowledge leaders. It's not because I'm trying to sell Majestic to a lot of people that don't need the product. It allows us also to develop big data as a big data company instead of as an SEO tool, which is a big, big difference for us. So we paid for the domain, we bought the guy out, we did all that, and we wanted to then rebrand. And we wanted to get this idea together. So we needed to deal with a quite cynical bunch of developers at that particular point, because we were doing well on the search engines. We were top 3 all over the world for the phrase SEO, and we'd just taken SEO out of our domain name. Now, any SEO will tell you that that's probably not a clever idea. But we were convinced that this was the right sort of thing. So we needed to get our team to see the bigger picture. And our UX guy, one day, said, I've just seen a tweet from a guy called Brendan Dawes. Has anybody heard of Brendan Dawes? You should look him up. You should look him up. He's based in Leeds in the UK. Anyway, our UX guy said, I've just seen a tweet saying from this guy saying he's got some space in between his work with Google and his work with Microsoft or EE or whatever, AT&T. He said, and that's a guy that, you know, I'd love to work with. The one guy that I, as the UX guy, would love to work with. That'd be really interesting. So our head of development and I promptly didn't tell him anything, got on a train up to Leeds and went to go and see Brendan Dawes and say, look, would you come in, would you have a look at our data and come up with some ideas and visualizations of our data? And that's what we did. I had a workshop, and he came in and we talked about the things that we could do with our data that is going to be different to just using it for SEO. I'm going to have to use my buttons over here. So he came up with this. Yeah, can you play it from about 10 seconds? That's it, just hit the play button. Okay, we're going well with video tonight. And I need to get rid of that thing. That'll do. That'll do, okay. So we talked about all sorts of different ideas, and the one that he came up with was that 2D chart saying, well, why don't we turn that into a 3D visualization? And what he did was he took the file and converted it into a 3D visualization. But then he went further and he wrote the program that allowed us to take any export any link profile that we've got from Majestic. You can do that for any website in the whole wide world, or any web page for that matter. We can just go back to the presentation now. And then he wrote a program that you can download from the internet if you want to, and you can then upload the information in. It converts it to an STL file, which is the format for printers, and print it out. So if you wanted to, you could make one of these. And I'm sure you've recognized what this is now. This is what it is. So we came out with this idea that we can make a website in 3D, and we can make a website, bring it to life, bring it out of the internet and bring it into the real world. And we thought this was a really cool idea, so we printed off a few, we sent one off to Google, which was great actually, because John Muller in Switzerland, I then found myself a couple of months later in Seattle at a conference, and Gary Isles, who's another Googler, came along to our stand, and we had one of these sitting on the stand, and he said, John Muller's got one of those on his desk. I thought, that's good, that's working, it's really good. Sent them around, got pretty good publicity for the whole thing by creating a website in 3D. And that was great. And now we get to the story, really. So I think in marketing, you've got to take an opportunity when it hits you in the face. So Mel was talking about this somewhere in Portland or somewhere. And on the same stage, or in the same room, was some people that were associated or affiliated with NASA, a company called Made in Space. They had a chat. They saw this talk about the 3D visualization of websites. And Mel sent me this email into the UK. I had a chat with Alex, who's founded Majestic, and the two of us knocked our heads together, and within just a few hours we sent this back to him, saying, sod it, go, do it. Do whatever it takes to go and get that done. Because we could quite easily visualize turning a website, a 3D website. It wasn't that much difficult to do something different. We thought we could print NASA.gov off in space or something like that. So we thought this was a really good idea. So we said, go and do it. So Mel scratched his head and got to work. All credit to him. And the reason that we resonated is because there was that that comet where they just landed a thing on the comment, and it kind of looked like one of the printouts that Brendan had done, and he'd done some fancy photography on it as well. So we kind of already had sort of a space kind of theme going on at the time. But the interesting thing is that last slide there, that was the 4th of March 2015. And the date that was important to us turned out to be, we didn't know it at the time, the 23rd of March 2016. It took over a year for this to come together, even though we kind of theoretically had the model more or less. But it gave us a really good chance to kind of think about the whole idea of how we can visualize the internet in space and what we can do. Because there's other ways to picture the story. This is a very simple way of visualizing data, but it tells a story very well about Majestic, I think. You know, there are more pages in Majestic's index than there are stars in the Milky Way. This is something that we'd already done in an infographic somewhere before. It was part of a larger infographic, but pulled it out. But we could start to use that to try and to try and warm up the story, if you like, because we knew now that we were going to go into space. We knew that we were going to send something up. What we didn't know is whether the thing was going to take off, which was a bit of a worry. Then one of the people in the team came up with this bright idea. We also do a geo-IP lookup of all the web servers on the planet. So, so somebody decided to map those on a map. And you'll notice here, so these are all the geo-IP lookups of every web server that we've got in the system. I've got about 300 million of them, so 300 million websites anyway. So, and there's no land masses or lines in here. That's just dots that make that up. Yes, sir.
Can you explain geo-IP lookup?
So every web server that's out there, every IP address, there's a map, IP to location, max mine. There's a couple of other big data sets that will take an IP address and map it to a physical coordinate as to where it is on the planet. So basically we map those together and then decided that's a way of looking at the internet from outer space. So we were coming up for a whole load of different ideas that could allow us to represent the idea of Majestic in space, because that's the idea that we were trying to get out. We were trying to get out the idea that Majestic is bigger than a tool, and space seemed a good way to resonate with our audience. And it gave us a Facebook countdown, because we knew 23rd of March was an important time, so we could then do a countdown. It also meant that we could prep the mainstream media as well, so we could kind of put together individual press releases. We could work out exactly who the influencers were within this space, and we could work out how to get to those people, and we could do it in good time. We're an SEO company, so we also prep the SEO media as well, and it gave us a set of powerful supporting teaser posts that we could put out. Excuse me. It was the flight. So the problem was, as I say, we didn't know if this thing was going to take off, and we didn't want to break the story unless the thing took off. Otherwise, it would be a very different story. Yeah, so can we click on that link there? So we've got a little video of the Atlas V rocket taking off. Let's see if it crashes. Yeah, you can go full screen for a second. So I'll only play about 10 minutes to the takeoff bit. Obviously if it crashes, it will be very quick. What's interesting is the advert that was on before when I got in was actually the same 3D printer that we use in the office, actually. So yeah, so this has got our 3D printer on it, which we think is really cool. And that's it. It just went up. It's unmanned, took up food and services and stuff, and a 3D printer and a bunch of other experiments. Okay. Anyway, let's go on to the next slide. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. Okay. So, that's the story. And I'm a marketing guy. This is what's happened with the data. Because we were able to tell a story that resonates with our audience, because we were able to tell a story that was bigger than our audience, our 20-person company got around about 5 million people reach during the launch. In 18 articles, different publications, shared 2,432 times across social media. This isn't what's her name's bum or anything like that. You know, this is something really quite techy. And the spike in the news cycle for us was huge, really. And it really comes down to it when we start seeing some of the things that are out there. So these are some of the tweets that people tweeted about, and some of these names. Michael King, he's going to be talking tomorrow, I would imagine. And Top Round Marketing, very big for us. 3D printing news, a whole bunch of really good tweets coming out through there for us. And then the stories, and I'm just going to go through them quite quickly now because there's quite a lot. But 3D printing industry gave us a lot of stuff. Inverse.com, I'm just going to go through a bunch here. You know, all of these are talking about us. UK company from space, 3D print, Mike.com, tech.mike, 3days.org, the Daily Mail. Daily Mail's a pretty big company, magazine in the UK, or pretty newspaper in the UK. Pretty pleased with that. Top Round Marketing blog. Local was important for us as well. Birmingham Midlands Today. And it just kept on going. And all these people talking about us. And we got exactly what we wanted out of the story. We got the resonance, we got the idea that we were bigger than we possibly were. And it isn't even printed yet. This is the interesting thing about this story. It's already taken us 2 years to get to this point. Now, do you want to show people what the actual print is going to be? So, this box here, we need these back. If you steal those ones, I'm not so worried, really. If you steal these ones, Mel's going to be very upset because these were printed on the actual printer that's on the the same printer that's designed to work in zero gravity. So they do look the same, but you know, when you touch that, you're touching something that is a direct replica of what we hope will come back down from space. And the great thing is that we've got at least 2 more news cycles. Firstly, when they print it, we've been promised a photograph, and we're hoping that's a video of it being printed in the space station. That's going to make a great story, isn't it? And then we can just reel out a whole load of this data visualization stuff again. And then it's got to come back down to Earth. Now, admittedly, it's going to come down on SpaceX, and SpaceX hasn't got a very good history of landing successfully. Nothing comes with guarantees in life. But we're hopeful. And even if it doesn't, we've got these ones to go with. You know. But that means that when we do stands in 2017, then we're going to have these for our themes in 2017.
Dixon, what's the schedule? When are they talking about doing it?
So we're hopefully getting the print
Late December, early January for the print.
for the print.
Late this December?
So yeah, this December, so before or after Christmas.
And January is the next scheduled SpaceX flight.
Yeah. So if they've printed it by January when the SpaceX comes down, you know. Now there was a rocket that blew up in Russia a couple of weeks ago, so that might change the sets of things and stuff. I don't know, but you know, space travel, it would appear, isn't done overnight. So the takeaways for me are, if you're going to do data visualization or if you're going to do any kind of idea, create ideas that resonate with your audience. Create something that can't easily be copied. The great thing about this is one of the reasons we were doing this is because our competitors were copying every bloody thing that we were doing. I challenge them to copy this one. And we think we created something unique. Don't rush it. You don't have to rush it. It's taken us years to do this, and it doesn't cost to wait, unless somebody's going to steal the idea off you. And we also didn't do it to manipulate anything. If you can have a higher purpose for your data, for your ideas, for your visualization, I think that's good as well. And you can still get lots of traction and hopefully move minds. And with that, I think I'm done. I hope it's been interesting. Cheers. Sorry? Yeah, I've actually, if anybody does ask a question, the first 2 people get Majestic Max. The question first.
Yeah, what are the actual parameters?
Yeah, okay, good question. Thank you. So, do you remember that 2D chart that I showed? If I go back to it, if that's all right. Okay, so we've got, for every single web page, or for every website, in fact for the internet one, it's every single website, we have a score between 0 and 100 for how trustworthy each link is into each website. Or actually the internet one is how trustworthy each website is. And then citation flow is how many links, if you like, go into it. And it's normalized into a 100 by 100 score. So now, take that, if you put this on its side, so you've got this, what we call the wall of spam on here, which, you put it down there, and you'll find that most websites on the planet are spammy as hell. So now most things, whether it's a website or whether it's the internet in general, comes up with this sort of flame idea coming out. And what's interesting is that if you go and do it at an individual website level, then websites that are particularly spammy have a really sad looking flame here, whereas websites that are really big and vibrant go up above or even above the 45 degrees, although most sites are the 45 degree is pretty much legitimate. If it gets too much the other side, it's probably manipulated another way. So, next question? Yes?
How do they adapt the 3D printer to space?
Sorry?
How did they adapt the printer?
Mel, have you got any information about how they did the printer? I think that's a bit of a trade secret. They didn't tell us that. So what we knew is that it was supposed to work with the same data files that we were doing with, because this is made in our printer in the office, which is a MakerBot printer, and so they had prototyped one before that didn't work very well, I think, and so this is kind of like their big one, but we don't know. But what we do know is that the models are slightly smaller, so it kind of like contracts the model and makes it a little bit smaller out of the whole thing. But I'm afraid they haven't gone into that detail. I figure it's NASA, so it's made in space anyway, so yeah.
It's important to make the distinction. Made in Space is the company that has partnered with NASA.
Yeah, we get into trouble if we kind of go too far into it.
They sent the printer up there too, right?
No,
they sent a printer up there before?
They sent a prototype up, not to do anything but test. Yeah.
But when you think about what we've done, they didn't do this for free. They didn't do it for a lot of money because I'm a good negotiator. But we're one of the first people to make a commercial transaction in space.
Yeah. So the interesting thing, in the UK, I'll come on to you, Joe, I'll promise you. In the UK, in the whole of Europe, VAT is like sales tax, You have to pay your VAT in the country in which the goods are delivered. I've got no idea what they're going to do with this one.
What's the tax?
Joe, what's your question, sir?
What is your estimated impact to top line revenue?
We don't plan to get this to, this was not a commercial design to hit our ROI. What it was trying to do was to change our brand perception, so our audience, the brand perception. So our bigger challenge is that Majestic in the UK is a massive wine company And frankly, I buy the wine from there, and every other Brit does, and we drink a lot of wine. You know, in the US, you've got Majestic Athletic. All over the world, you've got Majestic theatres from all sorts of different countries. You know, the word Majestic is an interesting word for SEO because it's a bugger if you're a B2B company to try and rank. So that was a challenge. It's a double-edged, but it's quite a good double-edged sword though, because it makes it harder for our competitors to track how well or badly we're doing. So you know, but it also makes it harder for us to track our own life. You know, but we were trying to establish our brand as one that could grow as a brand, and I think we've succeeded in doing that. Our business it's really the percentage of people that type in Majestic versus our competitors. However, our competitors have changed their product portfolios, so that's not a direct thing anymore either. Bill's got another answer.
How difficult was it to purchase Majestic.com?
That actually took me 3 years as well. So yeah, this story goes back further than that. So I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for it, but it was quite a lot. The first year that we tried to get it, it was a park domain, so it was Domainer selling it. He knew, well, actually, he had this dodgy gym equipment site on there, Majestic gym equipment sort of thing. But he didn't actually sell anything there. But it was just enough so that no one could get it with by using trademark law or anything like that to get it off them. So the first year, he said a number that we couldn't possibly afford. The second year, he said a number that we would have had to sort of stretch to afford. The third year was kind of interesting. We got to a point where we could afford it, and we could do it. And so, just like when we told Mel, yes, go and get the spacing sorted, we just decided to do the deal, and we escrowed it, and it was done in 48 hours. I found out this year that Majestic Wines in the UK, who own majestic.co.uk, were extremely pissed off. Their head of SEO is no longer there, but I did meet him in a bowling alley at another one of these kind of events, and he told us that they were trying to get to the board level and trying to get they were in the running as well. They wanted it as well, but they just couldn't work nimbly as nimbly as a 20-person company could work. So when we got it, yeah, they were upset. They did for a long time keep us well out of the UK results. I don't know quite how they did that, but you know, they do spend a lot of money with Google. But the next time that I came across Majestic Wines was at another one of these, a breakfast sort of do, and I saw that the new head of SEO at Majestic Wines was actually in the audience, and so I nipped out to the off license and bought a miniature Chianti bottle of wine and told the story and gave him that as a consolation gift. I said, that's all we could afford after having to pay that much for it, really. So that's the answer to your question. Yeah, it was hard, yeah.
How difficult was it to convince NASA to print this stuff?
Well, that's more Mel than me.
It's not.
There you go.
So we dealt with NASA, we dealt with this company called Made in Space, who have been very particular about how we painted the things that wanted to be printed up. So initially, their idea really, I mean, for us it's a publicity stunt, but there are other companies out there who genuinely are looking to print ratchets and wrenches and things, because the International Space Station is only 250 miles above the Earth. That's not far compared to Mars or something like that. I was just saying to Josh earlier that when I landed in Dallas today, I'm in the cab on the way. I live in Seattle, and I get a text message from my wife saying, "Uh-oh," and it's my wash bag with my razor and everything, and it's on the counter back at home in Seattle. Now, I only live 3 hours away. What if I was on the way to Mars and I was like, oh, God! You can 3D print a toothbrush, you can 3D print a ratchet. You could actually create an entire new Death Star in space using a 3D printer. So it wasn't a case of us persuading NASA, it was us talking to these guys, explaining to them the idea behind this and how we would help them create a halo effect of excitement around this new technology. But NASA have been very interested to know what it is. And the craziest thing is when the box comes back down to Earth, they actually have an unboxing ceremony that goes on YouTube. And I've seen them, they're literally there in white coats, and they open this thing up and they say, item number thing, you know. So they're going to pick this thing out at one point, NASA scientists, and say, 3D representation of the internet, 3D data visualization of the internet. And they're probably going to go, and put it down, but we don't care, because this has just been too cool, too cool.
Yeah.
What kind of regulations did you have to jump through?
Turns out there's not many regulations for space. Yes, kind of, you know. When you boil it right down to it, right down to our PyNet, we've said we've got a data file. So really, all of those kind of problems are not ours to worry about. Ultimately, I mean, yeah.
The only regulation is that when they take the photo and do the video, that an astronaut's face will not be, you will not be able to recognise the astronaut because they are a government employee and this is a commercial transaction. That was, dealing with this stuff was just absolutely...
I'm sure there's millions of other regulations, but we don't know what they are. Well, if there's no other questions, yes? You want to frame it? You want to frame it?
So I see that each one is different, right?
Yeah.
These are
Yeah.
actual printed,
So,
you timestamp them and say, okay, this is the
so you're right. So all of the white ones are actually the same because they're all the internet, or they're supposed to be the same unless the printer's gone wrong. The other ones, a lot of them are different websites, and every single website is different. And from a data art point of view, that was Brendan Dawes' original idea, is that you're getting a bit of plastic for sure, but the interesting thing is your bit of plastic. It relates to your business, and so you know, that was great. And we did look at ideas of trying to print, you know, emboss the actual site on there. We've decided to go for the stickers instead, and then we came up with hang on. I wasn't going to get down. So when we send them out to people, we kind of have a little box that they go into and stuff, and then we've written a little story on the back. Because data's about stories, right? So, it's very simple. Everything on the web, like everyone in the world, has its own DNA, its own link profile. This profile defines its trust, its power. This majestic landscape is unique, like a fingerprint. Over time, it grows or slows, flowing its influence through the internet. That's it. There you go. And it just brings the whole thing to life, really. So, yeah. Yes?
If I was your client, what would you do for me? What is your company?
Okay, none of this. Absolutely none of this. And you know, so if you're our client, what you would do is you would go onto the internet, type your website in, and go and see all the sites that link to you and how strong all those websites are, and page by page. And then you can put in your 5, 10 competitors as well, and then you can go and see all the websites that are linking to 2, 3, 4 of your competitors, and not to you. So then you can start seeing, they've all got, excuse my language, you know, they've all got links from, you know, this site, and this site, and we haven't. We're missing a trick here. So by understanding that link profile, you understand where you fit on the internet. And if you, to take it to a different way of visualizing it, if you imagine your business being here in these offices, you're in downtown Dallas. Your location is there, and you look at a map and you know that this business is right in the heart of Dallas. And then if you're out in the sticks, and then you look at that on a map, then it's a long way to get to that one. And you can imagine how that's going to have an impact on your traffic. And so you can then take that idea and visualize that back in the internet. That's what the data does. We try not to provide any consulting over that. We've got customers in 113 countries. We've got several 100,000 people, because you can get your own data for free of your own website. Several 100,000 people around the world that are using this stuff. Tens of thousands are paying us a subscription. So there is an industry, not so little industry, of Bill can give you everybody in the Dallas area, and John, I'm sure, can give you everyone in the Dallas area that is using the kind of data that we've got to add insights to their customers to say these are the sorts of things that we need to do. And ultimately our main audience are people that are trying to get their clients to the top of Google, because this algorithm is different to, but similar in idea to, Google's original algorithm. Yes? No, I got a lot of questions. It's great. Yeah. Of the chart, what?
Which of those data points are the cat videos?
The cat videos. Yeah, cat videos. Yeah, probably around about there. Actually, they're somewhat better than. This is the wall of spam, and this is quite an empty one. The ones you want are the ones up the top there. Yeah, the cat video is all down here. Yeah. Yes, sir.
This may be a little off topic, but I think it's current. Have y'all, I'm sure you've heard a lot about the fake news. Have y'all been thinking about some innovative ways to filter out some of that stuff?
So Facebook, I would like to repeat that question. It was, you've heard a lot about fake news, and Mr. Facebook, yeah, we've got a bloody good system for doing that. Yeah. Our data points would work really well. So we've got a command in our APIs called getIndexItemInfo, which will, you shoot us a URL, we'll shoot you back how trustworthy and how many links go to a page and to the domain it's on as well. So you've got two commands to get two calls for both of those. So you could instantly and continuously be looking that information up. Or if you're a huge organization like Facebook, then yeah, we'd probably flat file it and let them, update the file, whatever. But yeah, we've got a solution for that. Whether it's going to be the right one, I don't know, but again, we have to not be the consultants really. I need to kind of let somebody run with these ideas, because you could use this data for all sorts of stuff, Yes, sir.
I was just going to say, U.S. News and World Report was just another struggling news magazine until they came up with the college rankings.
Yep.
And now that's huge for them. And it seems like there's commercialization on it. People are just grasping for some sense of what's trustworthy out there. And it seems like
we have a. Has anybody heard of Alexa? Not Alexa, the Alexa rankings. Amazon's Alexa. That's just come offline. They used to give the top 1 million websites for free, based on what their interpretation was of traffic. We still do. So a lot of people now are coming to us. We've got a CSV file. We have a tool called the Majestic Million. Sorry, technology. You see, I've got to go back to technology. And you can actually download the CSV file if you want to, where you can go in and you can just see how the top 1 million websites compare to each other. So we've got that as a currently free option.
You do that with the apps too, like App Annie is the top of that. So
yeah. So no, but we have got a way to evaluate apps, because apps ultimately all sit on their own URLs within Chrome Store or iTunes Store or whatever. So you can then use the trust flow metrics of that URL to compare apps against each other. I have to say I've not seen anybody doing that and using that to great effect. We have been using Twitter profiles to huge effect to analyze influencers. And we have another project on labs.majestic.com, which we've got a bunch of students to take our data, and they took the top 50,000 Twitter profiles and then mapped them all out. But you can just go into the website as well, and you can put an @Twitter profile into the system, and it will convert it into the URL, and then it will bring back the flow metrics. So, and then we've got another tool in there which is our bulk backlink checker tool, which allows you to put out to 400 at a time, or actually you can upload 100,000, but 400 at a time, and then you can just see all of those in order. And also, I haven't talked about topical trust flow as well, so we can also say whether they're about society or whether they're about business or whether they're about journalism or whatever it may be. So we've got about 800 categories within there as well. If people want to try Majestic, then by all means give me your cards or write. I think I've got a thing where you can write your email on, and we'll follow it up with a web demo, one-to-one 30-minute web demo, which you're more than welcome to have. If you get through the web demo, then the guys back at the office will give you 30 days to play with it free of charge as well. So, you know. Can you take that off the camera? Don't video that bit. you've got to get to an event first, you know. Yeah. I've got everyone out of questions. Well, I'm really grateful for the questions. That was absolutely fantastic, and thank you very much for your time. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mel, for coming out. These guys will be here for a little bit longer if you have any more questions. You want to see the models that are over here. And grab a keychain and a koozie and some hand sanitizer. Please take that stuff because I don't know what I'm going to do with it if you don't. And join the group again because, like I said, our next meeting is going to be January 15th. So thanks all for braving the rain and the miserable parking down here and coming out.
Yeah, if anybody wants to do that, I wasn't expecting people to want to, but put your email address on there and we'll send them.